Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. In this one, we do have a little bit of a follow-up to a video that I did previously talking about the Nintendo Switch kind of dominating Japan with the top 30 sales. Looks like it happened again, but there's more to the story here. Also, Sony kind of looking at that and saying a few different things to calm some fears out there, but it seems like people aren't biting on this one based on what one of the Sony leads had to say, so we'll get into that. And also, the Pokemon fever, the Pokemon Legends Arceus fever is sweeping, man, and I'm telling you, people are underestimating how well this game is going to do based on what I've seen out there, but there's already indications that Pokemon Legends Arceus is going to be bigger than Pokemon Sword and Shield, but we'll get into that as well. But before we get into any of this, what's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe if you enjoy daily content, and also hit that notification button to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and get into the first topic of discussion here, and that is the Famitsu sales for August 9th, 2021 through August 15th, 2021. This is another follow-up from what we discussed in a previous video talking about the Nintendo Switch dominating Japan, the first time in 30 plus years that Nintendo had all 30 top spots. Any system has any 30 top spots of the best sellers in Japan, and it happened before, and now it happened once again, another time, 2 weeks in a row, and I think that's unprecedented. I'm not sure if that's happened before. I did read some of the comments and I tried to look back and see some of the information, but I'm not sure if it's ever happened 2 times in a row. Either way, it's extremely rare. You guys are seeing the top 30 right here at this point, and once again, it's full of just Nintendo games, first party wise, kind of like the quote-unquote second party, or the games that Nintendo goes out there and gets, like fitness, boxing, and stuff like that. And then also third-party games as well that are on the list, stuff like Monster Hunter Rise, certain types of exclusives that are on the Nintendo Switch too. So it's very interesting to see this. We have the brand new game that came out, or at least the new release was the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel game that topped almost 100,000 units, and this is physical only. This isn't digital sales, so you know, you also have to factor that in as well. These games are actually doing better than what's listed here, but it looks like Microsoft and Sony are in a little bit of a desperate situation in Japan. But just because it's a desperate situation in Japan when it comes to their sales doesn't mean that they're desperate for the sales in Japan, if that actually makes sense. Because if you look at it, you go all the way down to the 30th spot. It's Super Mario Maker 2 on the Nintendo Switch. That game came out like a couple of years ago now at this point, right? And that sold 3,580 units physical wise. So there's no other PlayStation or Xbox game that can even get up to 3,500 unit sales for the week. Now, what's causing all of this? Well, obviously the chip shortage, the fact that they can't get these systems to Japan as fast as possible, you know, the fact that there isn't a lot of stock, that's part of it, but it's also the size of the systems. I think that that's something that people don't talk about quite a bit, because the size of these systems are just so large at this point, and I think that's definitely unappealing to Japanese gamers out there. I know that PC gaming, it's there in Japan, but it's not as big as other stuff like mobile gaming, and of course the hybrid game that Nintendo Switch does offer. So they do like more of the sleek and compact type of way to play games. So I think that's a part of it as well. Just the PlayStation 5 is just a large system. And on top of that, obviously Sony's done some things that didn't really help out, right? When we talked about the grave concern about what's going on in Japan, like they switched like the X and O button, confirm and cancel. They did stuff like the censorship of certain types of titles. And it's just kind of left, I think, a bad taste in Japanese gamers' mouths when it comes to what Sony's doing. And obviously, they shut down the Japan studio. They're not making as many Japanese titles anymore. They're not funding as many Japanese titles anymore. And they're kind of going more of the big blockbuster Western style of game, or the bigger indie style of game as well. And we've been seeing that for the past few generations at this point. PS3, PS4, now and also the PS5. They got rid of the Vita, that was popular in Japan. Well, not super popular, but, more popular than the PlayStation 5, that's for sure. So there are a number of things that's causing this. And of course, the Switch being a hybrid, that just fits perfectly with Nintendo's universal appeal games, Mario, Zelda, all that type of stuff. So it's just working out. And of course, you've had the big hitters like the Monster Hunter Rise and the Monster Hunter Stories 2 and stuff like that that's been coming out to just kind of aid everything. Bravely Default 2, all of that stuff is helping quite a bit. Even stuff like Ring Fit Adventure, things that you wouldn't think would be huge long-term evergreen sellers are becoming system sellers and evergreens for Nintendo. So that's also another thing to factor in. Now, recently, it was interesting because of all this that's happening. I'm not sure if it's a response to what's going on in Japan when it comes to the past 2 weeks, because I'm not exactly sure when the interview took place, but Sony sees what's going on in Japan. Sony sees what the fans are saying and saying, hey, where's the Japanese, sub AAA type of games? Where's that stuff at? And it looks like Sony kind of caught wind of that and has put out a somewhat of a response to what's going on there. So let's go ahead and read what Sony Interactive Entertainment PlayStation Studio boss Herman Holst had to say recently, speaking with Game Informer about the Japanese games and what they do. So according to Holst, he said that Japanese games are core to Sony Interactive Entertainment's identity, despite rumors otherwise. And I'm not sure, like rumor, it's more like what people are seeing. So I don't know if it's about a rumor more so than like they're seeing what's happening. You get your headquarters out of Japan, you move to California, you're doing stuff like you're shutting down your biggest and your first Japanese studio. It'd be like Nintendo shutting down like Nintendo EAD or something like that. Obviously the sales are different when it comes to like Mario and all that, or I get that, but I mean it'd be that type of thing, like your first development studio or whatever the case is. That's tough, so people are just kind of looking at what's going on. But let's go ahead and let's hear what he has to say here. Quote, I will say that we are in some way very much a Japanese company still. Holst said, that's our heritage. That's still part of who we are. We love our Japanese games. Now, Holst also commented on the restructuring of Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan Studio, now known as Team Asobi. Quote, we're building out Team Asobi under Nicolas Doucet, so we're actually investing in that team. Holst said, people forget sometimes that we have the Gran Turismo team as well in 2 different locations. Holst continued by saying, we are investing in our external development group out of Tokyo as well. And that's a team that has obviously worked with the likes of From Software and Kojima Productions. So we're very invested in the Japanese development, and Japanese development is something that we love. I think it's such a core part of the PlayStation identity that I can't ever see us shy away from the Japanese or even Asian development. Holst also commented on the growth of PlayStation Studios as a whole. We are investing in amazing teams we have. We are signing up new developers. We continue to focus on quality. We continue to focus on experiences that, in my mind, are experiences that matter, that sometimes only could have been created by us. That's what I stand for. And I will ensure that we're going to carry on making those. Now, back in May, Holst did say that they have over 25 titles in development for the PlayStation 5, with nearly half of those are new intellectual IP. So I see what he's saying here, and it does seem like a little bit of PR or damage control or whatever you want to say in the lines of that, because their actions in terms of what they're saying doesn't necessarily back up what's actually happening. They're saying one thing, but other things are happening. But I understand where he's coming from. That being said, I understand where he's coming from, and the fact that, yeah, they are investing in Japanese development. That's true. I mean, they're investing in Final Fantasy 16. That's going to be an exclusive, right, for the PlayStation 5, a console exclusive. They did invest into stuff like Demon Souls, the remake, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be more big AAA style of games and some unique indies, right, like the Kenna game, for example, that they'll go to for Japan, or that they'll go to get on PlayStation and hype that up. We saw that strategy kind of form in the PlayStation 4 era, the 8th gen, with stuff like No Man's Sky, going out there and getting certain indies that look impressive. Now, that didn't work out the way that they wanted to at the beginning, but I can see them going out and grabbing certain indies, maybe from Japan, kind of working externally to find some high quality ones that they can really prop up and say, okay, here, look at this. But the days of them kind of having where it was with the PlayStation 3, the PS Vita, and kind of the type of games that they were getting. The days of that happening over and over and over, I think that's kind of limited and done. At this point, that's going to switch over to the Nintendo Switch and whatever Nintendo does for the next generation. But we'll see how it all works out. I think that the PlayStation Studios, they're selling extremely well even without having major sales in Japan. So I don't think I don't think the guys over there at Sony are worried too much about what's going on, because if they were, they'd probably be doing something to kind of counteract that a little bit more than what they're doing. But they're selling like crazy. They're breaking records when it comes to certain stuff, so I don't think they're too worried about it. And they're selling a lot of games as well. Stuff is doing pretty well for them. So what do you guys think about what the Famitsu sales said here with the top 30? Once again, something that is kind of unprecedented with a platform, especially with the Nintendo Switch, and also what Sony had to say here about getting kind of stomped in Japan at this point. But what do you guys think about all of this? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, guys. We're going to discuss Pokemon Legends Arceus and what is going on here. I've seen quite a bit of talk about this game, good and bad, and that's awesome, to have different contrasting opinions in terms of how the game looks and the graphics and stuff like that. So of course, I'm here to give you guys the truth and break down what's actually happening, my own opinion, and what is going to happen when the game does launch. So let's first start off with my opinion on the game briefly, if you didn't catch some of my other stuff. I think it's really cool that they are kind of copying The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. There's a lot of things that are kind of hidden in what Nintendo had to say later on the website and also in the trailer. There's going to be crafting in the game. Of course, you're filling out the Pokedex. The gameplay loop is really good. It's a hybrid of action and also turn-based combat. You've got new mechanics that are just brand new to the Pokemon franchise in a whole. So that's very good. And I like those innovative things that they're going to build upon, that they're going to continue and to just get better with it with the Pokemon Legends line of games. I think that the Pokemon Legends line of games are going to be separate than the Pokemon Sword and Shield or Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, or not the remakes, but just like the mainline normal ones. Those are going to be separate, and we still could get more chibi type of remakes, with the overworld and stuff like that for the older games. So there could be 3 separate lines of Pokemon games, with the Legends style of games, with the remakes, the chibi style, and then also with the Sword and Shield, the typical Pokemon experience. And I can see them going forward with those 3 and maximize their revenue and profit. So overall, I think that Pokemon Legends Arceus, the graphics are definitely rough around the edges. It's not looking like a super cutting edge game for the Nintendo Switch. There's obviously games that have better, open worlds and probably better resolution. Stuff like Breath of the Wild, for example, definitely looks better. But obviously this game didn't have the type of time to develop like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Shin Megami Tensei 5, or games that look better and have an open-ended areas and stuff like that had to develop. This is probably a 2 to 3 year type of game, so you're not going to be able to get those type of graphics. But I understand for those who are expecting a bit more, or think that it doesn't look too good, or don't want to get the game, or whatever the case is. I'm just excited that they're trying something new, that the gameplay loop looks really good. And if you're going to copy a game when it comes to something, I think Breath of the Wild is a game to copy, considering how good the game is and considering how highly rated and what people thought about it and like its status when it comes to the gaming industry as an innovative and great title. Now let's talk about what's going on with the actual sales of the game and everything. Right now, it's kind of taking over Amazon and taking over the world at this point. It is shot up. Pokemon Fever has shot up on Amazon Japan bestsellers. It's the #1 game over the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes at this point. Usually you see games that are coming out closer to the launch being the bestsellers, but Pokemon Legends, people are hyped for this game. I've seen people say, oh, well, it might sell barely above what, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee did. I don't think so. I think this game's going to sell a lot better, and I think this game has a chance to actually sell better than Pokemon Sword and Shield, considering that it's something completely new, and you're going to get people who didn't buy Pokemon Sword and Shield or who didn't care about the multiplayer experience at least try this one out. They might hate it, they might think it sucks or whatever the case is, but a lot of people are going to be like, all right, I'll give it a chance, considering it is like Breath of the Wild in many different instances. Heck, there's even a crafting system in Pokemon Legends Arceus. So I think that this game's going to do extremely well and better than what some people are estimating for the game, because some people are saying that it's not going to do better than Sword and Shield, despite it coming out couple years later now at this point, right? More than 2 years later, and having an install base at launch, which is very important at launch, that is a lot larger than what Pokemon Sword and Shield had to work with back in the holiday of 2019. So I think that this game is going to do a lot better than what people are expecting out there. And also another thing here, guys, another big thing is that something's actually dethroned The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, a game that has been one of the best sellers all year long on the Nintendo Switch. Amazon is tracking it as one of the best selling games despite it not launching too long ago. Pokemon Legends Arceus actually beat out Skyward Sword when it comes to best sellers. It passed it up, not in the new releases because the game isn't out quite yet, but just in the best sellers already. So it's definitely gaining traction. More and more people are buying the game and pre-ordering it. So I'm telling you, man, this is going to be a large launch for this game. Despite some of the roughness of the graphics and everything, I think people are excited for something new with the Pokemon franchise, because it's been a while since we've got something completely new and innovative in terms of a gameplay loop and style for them that wasn't like the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which was based off of Pokemon Go, you know, and everything like that. So I'm excited to see what happens. But for myself, I'm going to be copping this game day one. I think this is a day one for me. I can't wait to play Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I think that a lot of people are going to have fun with the game, despite maybe some things that they don't like about it. But what are your thoughts on everything that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. I've got a Twitter page. Go and give me a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.